Story 1. Going through years of expensive fertility treatment without any success. Blood work, semen analysis, ultrasounds, expensive prenatal injections, and medication. Separating from their partner because of the mental toll and sadness that comes with infertility. Finding out their now ex-partner was able to have a child with a different partner easily. Story 2. A medical condition requires them to call the insurance company and the doctor's office at least 3 times a day every day, and they also have to get prescriptions from the pharmacy twice a month. Just dealing with the automated phone systems is torture enough. Story 3. Nothing. True story, I hated this bully girl in high school. Back then we had this paper called the National Enquirer, and in the back of it there were various ads for random things like psychic readings. I sent in $2 to request a curse to be put on her and have something really bad happen to her. The next school year, she was in a bad car accident and was permanently paralyzed from the waist down. Maybe a coincidence or maybe not. No matter what my enemy has done, I will love them. Story 4. My worst enemy is getting what I wish. To die slowly and painfully. He sexually abused myself and my sister for 12 years. Yes, you guessed it, stepdad. I was always told karma comes in threes. 1. He has been diagnosed with cancer. 2. He got a blood clot which resulted in his genitals turning black and needing to be removed. 3. Still waiting for it to happen. But dreams do come true. Story 5. Understanding in their final moments. I want them to realize just how badly they have hurt people and to know that it is far too late for them to make amends or seek forgiveness. I want them to realize how horrible of a person they are, so that their last breath brings them nothing but fear for whatever afterlife they believe in. I want their last day to be consumed with existential dread, so that the family at their side brings them no comfort. Story 6. All, and I mean all, of her friendships to be ruined by third-party interferences. Said third parties should turn her friends against her by poisoning their ears with false rumors about her, as she did to mine behind my back. She should have no solid relationship and nobody to rely on. She should doubt each and every person who's in her life. Be driven to and stay in isolation till the day she ceases to exist. I want her to get down dirty at every instance she can, and I want her to have a long life too. Story 7. That the only settings on every shower or bath they take be melted ice or boiling water, with no options for anything in between. That they will never be able to find shoes that fit and can never break them in. They stay in firm, pristine structure no matter what and never conform to feet. While we are at it, throw in a small piece of gravel that can never be found. Story 8. I read that Harvey Weinstein has a particularly painful form of cancer and chuckled. So I'm forced to admit that there is nothing for which I can say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I wish him a long life and I hope he hates every second of it. Story 9. If I had to wish something on my worst enemy, it would probably be for them to gain self-awareness and experience personal growth. Sometimes, understanding the impact of their actions can be more transformative than any external consequence. It is not about wishing harm, but perhaps wishing for a moment of clarity that helps them see how their behavior affects others and maybe themselves. After all, growth can be the hardest and most humbling thing to go through. Story 10. I'd honestly just wish they wouldn't treat other people as badly as they treated me. The world doesn't need bad people to be punished, I think. They just need to be better. Story 11. Their internet is always slow. Their Netflix is always buffering. Their controls are always reversed, and their games are always badly dubbed in a language they do not know. Their furniture constantly moves a little bit, so they keep bumping into it. And their games always crash during an important boss fight. Any piece of media they watch, the audio is always out of sync with it. And may the person they love never love them back. Story 12. To my knowledge, I don't have any enemies. Folks who I once knew become strangers and are sent off to their world. Those strangers do their own thing and exist in their own space. Story 13. Every time they bully somebody, they will have visions and nightmares of being exposed as a sadistic monster who drove someone to take their own life, causing them to be hated and alienated by their families and friends. Story 14. To live forever. So they can watch as everyone they know and love passes away over the years, leaving them behind. They will be human in all aspects, and over time, their health will decay. They will outlive their resources and be unable to survive financially, becoming homeless and living on the streets. They will not be immune to disease and will suffer just like anyone else, but they will never expire. They will not suffer from memory loss or go insane. They will beg to die but cannot. They will roam the earth until one day it dies, leaving them completely alone. Story 15. If the hate is two ways, me. I want them to see me wherever they go. I want them to dream of me in their sleep. I want them to hear my voice even though I am not there. I want them to hear my laughter at their lowest so that they feel inferior. I want them to feel as if I am plotting their downfall every second, such that they live in constant fear. I want them to feel as if their life is in my hands. Story 16. She was middle management. I hope she gets a boss who treats her the way she treated all of us, and no amount of what seemed like pleasantness can get them to like her. Story 17. Something in their eye constantly. Just when they think they've got it, they get a headache. And they're always a few degrees too hot, and nowhere they sit is comfortable. And they can't quite hear anyone. Take that. Story 18. Clarity to see their actions from an objective standpoint and understand how their own choices and beliefs harm them and others without the ability to dissociate from it. Effectively, the penance stare. Story 19. Early onset Alzheimer's and a sexual attraction towards something unforgivable. Dying slowly by being eaten alive by centipedes. Utterly forgotten and shunned after death. Story 20. Bed bugs that don't seem to go away no matter how many professional treatments they get or how much of their stuff they throw away. Oof, those bites itch. And they last so long. Story 21. That someone will slap them once a day for the rest of their life. A different person each day at different times of the day so they never know when it's coming. The constant fear of never knowing when the slap is coming will drive them nuts. Story 22. A feeling of bugs crawling on your skin that is imperceptible when you are wide awake, but grows increasingly intense the closer you are to falling asleep. Story 23. Groundhog Day. Only the people I would wish it on would never escape because they are incapable of self-reflection or acknowledging or admitting when they have done something wrong. Story 24. A physical body that's just your average Joe. Nothing that stands out. No identifying marks. Because a villain without drama is just a screaming kid that's being ignored. Story 25. Well, to begin with, I wish that person stays poor for the rest of his life and lives a long life, but without hands or legs, and always has a headache which makes him scream, and that even painkillers can't stop. I wish if he tries to kill himself, he fails and gets more injuries. At 70, he gets kidnapped and slowly tortured, kept living in a small box where he can't stand, and is fed the worst food until he dies a painfully slow death. Story 26. I wish for them to get to a better point in life so they stop repeating the same harmful mistakes. Not entirely in that selfless way, but also because that's what it would take for me to truly forgive them. Story 27. May the fleas of 1,000 camels infest your armpits. May a 7-year swarm of locusts fly in your kitchen window and land in your grandmother's curry. May a tribe of pygmies smear you with jam and tie you to an anthill. Story 28. A long and happy life in which they never have cause to interact with me again. I do not really have enemies so much as people who annoy me, so I mostly wish to not have to deal with them ever again. Story 29. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Story 30. Urinary incontinence. They can deal with the embarrassment of uncontrollable peeing and all the physical discomfort that comes with it. Not constant forceful peeing either, just an inability to hold it when it should be accumulating in their bladder, so it dribbles out in little bits instead. Story 31. When I was a kid, I had a traumatic back surgery that resulted in me getting methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus and chronic pain. The near-death experience I had during that time made me reevaluate my life and realize I was being abused by my father. After basically telling me he didn't want me now that I wasn't willing to put up with his behavior anymore, I never saw him again. I did, however, Learned from a family friend that he ended up needing corrective surgery on his spine that resulted in him getting methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus and chronic pain. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Story 32. One intermittently failing earbud at all times, no matter the device. Catching their belt, sleeve, or coat hook on door handles every single day. To be treated the way they have treated me, good people, or others I care about. Story 33. I wish them the best of luck making do trying to get my husband to love them. I spent 16 years with this man trying to get him to love me, only to be mistreated and abused. I hope they end up together, and I can't wait to watch the downfall. Although, to be fair, I don't really have enemies. I cut people out when they are toxic. I'd rather be alone than be surrounded by people I can't trust. Story 34. A better life, think about it. The reason they are my worst enemy is because they have nothing better to do than annoy me. So a better life will give them better things to do. And I'm not some empathetic person. No, I see most people as just humans, and I treat humans poorly because they don't matter. People I actually care about and devote to no matter what. Sometimes I'm just lazy to be unempathetic. I'm my own worst enemy. By the way, Story 35, repetitive ingrown toenails. Hair that only grows on both sides but not through the middle. An erectile dysfunction. Head lice, pubic lice, warts around his lips. A painful sore on the end of his penis. Eczema on his scrotum that is flared by sweat and friction. Story 36. I'm sorry. I can't assist with that request. Story 37. An eternity of falling through darkness, stuck only with memories of the cruel and unusual things they did all in the name of spite. Blacker than black. Cannot see, cannot hear. Only falling and remembering what they did and how it made the victim feel. For infinity. Story 38. That they fully understand the weight of what they did and how they treated me, and more importantly grew and changed as a result. I can't spend my time wishing ill on others when the world does enough of it. I can only hope that people grow and become better for all of our sakes. Story 39. Nothing. People who are like my worst enemy are also their own worst enemy. He is perpetually unhappy due to the very nature of who he is. A self-destructive bully who can never appreciate what he has and destroys everything and everyone around himself like an acid, burning bridges left and right. Why would I wish anything on my worst enemy? He is already in hell until the day he dies because his rotten personality is a poison even to himself. Some people are just so vile that you can't wish anything bad on them, because being them is the worst thing you could wish on them already. Story 40. A constantly hot pillow on both sides, mild diarrhea every time they eat their favorite food, their coffee being always too hot or too cold, their bananas being always overripe. I can get really creative. Story 41. Give them a lousy office job, barely making ends meet. Trying to pick up some extra shifts for money but always denied the overtime. While at the same office job always getting a paper cut, but letting it heal, and as soon as it heals, getting another. Whenever he goes to get coffee from the break room, there's always coffee grounds in cold coffee because the old coffee machine can never keep it warm. There's always someone cooking tuna or fish in the microwave at lunch. Story 42. Every table and surface they lay, sit, or lean on, and eat off of is slightly off balance, just enough to notice and be annoying. No matter how they try to fix it, it's always slightly off. Story 43. For them to get over whatever made them my enemy. Every enemy I have ever had has been a one-sided disagreement. Them being mad about something completely ridiculous, and me just existing. I have a coworker who is mad at me because I tried to help him meet a deadline, and he still did not make it in time. Story 44. Immortality and the curse of incrementally worse days. To know that somehow, no matter how bad today was, tomorrow was going to be slightly worse. If I have to choose one, true immortality. Story 45. Severe constipation to the point where, when they defecate the equivalent of hard pebbles. And afterward, they have severe burning pain in their rectum. Story 46. That they acutely feel the same sadness, despair, and hurt that they sow in others' lives directly or indirectly, or, at minimum, gave the thumbs up for others to just by staying silent, just for misguided ideas of leadership. You will know them by their fruits, never their words, and what comes around goes around. Story 47. I knew a guy who had a bunch of really great revenge ideas. One of them that stood out was crushing up a whole bunch of rare earth magnets and rubbing it all over someone's nice car, because how the hell are you going to clean that off? Story 48. I pity them for having to go through life in their own head. Little by little, cruel people become isolated, even if it appears they have people around for money, for example. Then they die and face what's on the other side. They don't get to keep their stuff or their money. Who will help them? What tools do they have to live fully there? They have disabled themselves through their choices here. I think real regret over big things would be awful. Of course, I think most awful people are counting on blinking out. Who knows? I wouldn't bank even possible eternity in that. Story 49. I hope there's always snow in your driveway. I hope you never get off Fridays. And you work at a Fridays that's always busy on Fridays. I hope you win the lottery and lose your ticket. I hope it's Ben and Socrates poop all up in your kitchen. I hope the zipper on your jacket gets stuck. And your headphones short and your charger doesn't work. Story 50. I wish they would win so much money in the lottery they would quit their job, and then I would not have to hear their whiny, sniveling, mealy-mouthed nonsense at work anymore.